What is going on, guys? Panther here, bringing you our APA Season 7 draft analysis for the Showdown League. As most of you guys know that are watching this, Season 6 just ended, and it ended very well for us. We ended up finishing the season 12-0 in the regular season. We won our first round game against Sarah Bear and the Joliet Lycanrocks. We won our semifinals game against Jock and the Dunfermline Lanoons, and then we won a very, very good game, a very, very good 1-0 victory against the defending champion for Season 5, Hugo, and the Montreal Monfernos in the championship to finish the season 15-0 and win Season 6 of the APA in the first Sun and Moon League of the APA. So, very excited with the way that last season ended. Really takes a lot of pressure off my shoulders, to be completely honest with you. I hadn't won a championship in the APA since Season 1, and a lot of people give me junk about it because a lot of the battlers we had in Season 1 aren't still around. We do just have 4 battlers out of 20 still in the league. From Season 1, and it was also Little Cup as well, so I get a lot of crap about it being Little Cup and Little Cup not counting, even though we all know that's a lie. So to take home that title was really, really special to me, and to beat Hugo in the finals, and what a great battler he is, to beat Jock in the semis as well. To go through people like that to win the title, to make it out of the division undefeated in the division that we were in, even though we did have some luck against certain opponents like Cloud. Was really excited with the way last season wound up. But anyways, so everybody was really excited about Season 7 because every so often in the APA we do kind of like a gimmick. This season's gimmick was the same gimmick we did in Season 6, basically. With little tweaks. We brought the Ubers back. So the Ubers have returned. There's no Xerneas in our league to mow through at this time. Thankfully, that is banned, along with the Primals, Arceus, Mega Rayquaza. So certain ones are banned, but most Ubers are allowed. Each team is allowed a 1 Uber max. Unlike Season 4, this is a points-based draft. It's 125 points that each team gets. As you can see, I have 1 point remaining up on my screen. We ended up picking 8th. So we ended up picking 8th, Season 7 draft. There's 20 teams in this league, 4 divisions, 5 in each division, 10 in each conference. 2 from each division will go to playoffs with 1 wildcard team per conference. The 4 and the 5 seed will play a play-in game, basically, while the other teams get basically a bye. So really important to do well, to be one of the top 3 teams, to make sure you don't have to play that round 1 game and have an extra playoff game, basically. So we picked 8th in the draft out of 20. I had a couple of ideas for Ubers that I wanted. The top Uber that I wanted, I went back and forth on this for a long time. The top Uber that I wanted was regular Mewtwo. I know some of the Mega Mewtwo's are definitely going to go early on in the draft. Regular Mewtwo actually hits harder with a Life Orb than either one of those. So I really did want regular Mewtwo, and I figured I was in a pretty good place for it. I used Mega Salamence in its MVP season back in Season 4, and it was just a monster. Let me just scroll over here. Actually, I can't scroll over. Dang it. We're going to scroll over here and show you the awards from Season 4. But, Mega Mince was definitely a monster, but I wanted to try something different. So Mewtwo was on the top of my list. So was Mega Lucario, Shaman Sky. A few different mons that I wanted to try. So we got actually to pick 6, and regular Mewtwo was still on the board. Cloud picked before me. Cloud used regular Mewtwo back in Season 4. I was like, man, I'm going to get Mewtwo. No way he's going to pick Mewtwo. He's in Season 4. Why would he want to? And it turns out he picked Mewtwo. So that kind of rocked my plans a little bit. But we did end up picking up an absolute monster. We're going to go ahead and unveil it right now. It's going to appear on the left side over here. That is Mega Lucario. So we do have Kenobi, the Mega Lucario here. Mega Lucario is an absolute monster. It's going to be even nastier in Draft League format. It can be special. It can be physical. It gets Sword Stance. It gets Nasty Plot. It gets Calm Mind. It gets Priority for Days, Bullet Punch, Vacuum Wave, Extreme Speed. Nasty, nasty, nasty Pokemon to switch into. So if you think about it, what resists fighting? you have basically two things that resist fighting. You have Ghost and you have Fairy. Well, Fairy can't switch into a Mega Lucario just because of the Steel Stab. Now, Ghost types can switch in, so we have to kind of shore up our draft to deal with the Ghost types. But I really do feel like that Mega Lucario is just going to be a monster to switch into. I mean, it's going to. I mean, even just bulky Pokemon in general can't switch into too close combats. It's in a great speed tier at 112. I wish it did hit 115, but beggars can't be choosers here. It does beat the 110 speed tier, so Pokemon like Latios, um, shit. A lot of other monsters slipping my mind right here at the moment, but that doesn't matter. Mega Lucario is a monster. I don't even need speed if necessary. If I get set up, it's going to be really hard to switch into a +2 Bullet Punch or a +2 Adaptability, Vacuum Wave. That's really the kicker about Mega Lucario is adaptability. So this thing can do, many different things. It can do a whole lot of different things well. Its move pool is amazing. It really gets a lot of coverage as well, like Blaze Kick, the Elemental Punches, Crunch, Dark Pulse. It gets coverage both on the special and the physical side. I can Final Gambit if needed just to really plow through something. I'm really excited about using this. This is the mon I originally wanted to draft before I saw Mewtwo was going to slip to me. But I was really excited to pick up Mega Lucario here. So I wanted to build around Mega Lucario. So Mega Lucario is just about all the offense I need, to be completely honest. I mean, like I said, it can plow through teams, but I've got to build around it. So if you think about what Lucario is weak to, it's weak to fighting, it's weak to ground, it's weak to fire. So the next mon that I picked up, I really wanted to get a mon that could beat most of those things. So we end up picking up Landorus Therian next. So it can beat ground types. It is a ground immunity, as you know. Mega Lucario resists ice, so it can help shore up that weakness there. But it can help me beat fire types, and it can help me beat fighting types because it does resist. It does get Intimidate as well, so it can really put in some work. It's one of the top mons this generation. It gets Double Dance, so I do like that a lot. It gets Rock Polish, it gets Swords Dance. It is a Stealth Rock setter. It's a ground immunity, like I said before. Base 145 attack. It's just another nasty Pokemon to have to switch into. This is actually one of my Z Crystal users, so if you think about what resists ground, well, anything that's flying resists ground, but it doesn't really want to take a Continental Crush. And bulky grass types like Tangrowth, but Tangrowth isn't going to want to take a Supersonic Sky Strike. So, Lando T is going to be another nasty mon that I'm really excited about using. I had Lando T way back in Season 3, and it really did well. It can run a lot of different sets really good. It's another really versatile mon. So, and actually, we did snipe Cloud on this, so payback for sniping my Mega Mewtwo, or not Mega Mewtwo, but regular Mewtwo, so justice was sweet there. So, the next mon we picked up, so the fairies were getting hit up pretty hard at this point, but the fairy that I really wanted to draft, that I had never drafted before in the APA, was still there. So I went ahead and picked up Sylveon. So Sylveon is a great Pokemon. It can Wish Pass, which is one of the things I really like about it. It's a great Heal Bell user. And it can also be offensive with Pixelate Hyper Voice. I love the actual choice spec set. I used it in another league, and it catches so many things off guard because you think you're switching into a bulky Sylveon, but you're getting blasted by a Hyper Voice Pixelate choice spec set. So I like that it can pivot as well. I do like having Baton Pass on there. It doesn't get great coverage. It gets things like Shadow Ball, Slice Shock, obviously the hidden powers, just like everything else, but it can be offensive or it can be defensive, which is what I like about it. Like I said, it can set up with curses or Calm Mind. I think I've actually ran a physical set on it before with curse and like quick attack and things like that to catch something off guard in another league. But Sylveon's I feel like a really good round 3 pickup, and in a 20 team league, I do think having a Wish Passer is going to be really important because in a 20 team league, it's even more watered down teams. So teams really have problems dealing with certain threats. So like my week 1 opponent doesn't have a Mega Lucario switch in. If I can keep Mega Lucario healthy by Wish Passing around with it, it's going to be really tough for him to play around the Mega Lucario. just for example. So round 4, we had spent a good portion of our points at this point. We had spent 27 on the Mega Lucario. We'd spent like 16 on Lando T. We've spent another 16 on Sylveon. But we again decided to draft another really good Pokemon in Zapdos. So I wanted Hazard Removal. And to be honest with you, I wanted Zapdos. I've wanted to draft Zapdos ever since Season 5. But Season 5, Matt Archer sniped it from me. Thanks, Matt Archer. I really appreciated that this season. Ended up working out because I got Talonflame. I'm getting off track. Let's refocus here. And then Hugo drafted it last season. Anyways, so I picked up Zapdos, wanted a Defogger, wanted another pivot. So as you can see, I have a Mega Lucario, and then I have a pivoting Lando T. I have a Baton Pass pivot Sylveon, and then I have a U-turn / Volt Switch pivot Zapdos. So really, this team's really being built around my Mega Lucario. My job is just to pivot in. I expect to get a lot of kills with this thing, hopefully, if my season works out as planned. So I do have the Zapdos. Zapdos is an amazing Pokemon. It has really good typing. Obviously, Electric's only weak to ground, and I do have the flying immunity with that. I am weak to Stealth Rock, but I do get Defog, I do get Roost. I do have 125 base special attack, and as you can see, I don't have a bad stat anywhere. So Zapdos is a really good Pokemon. I wanted to draft Articuno actually this season because it was only 3 points, but when Zapdos was still there in round 4, it's just too good of a Pokemon to pass up. It can do so many different things well. So wanted to snag Zapdos. Wanted to pick this guy up and really just see what I could do with it, because it can be offensive, it can be defensive, like I said. It can be a really cool mon. So with our 5th round pick, as you can see, we're a little weak to ice. Mega Lucario resists the ice moves, and Sylveon's pretty specially defensive, so both of those guys can switch into an Ice Beam. But I wanted something else that could really take on ice types, or at least just a good resist for ice types. So we ended up picking up Jellicent next. So Jellicent's a Pokemon that I've actually used it with Sylveon before in a league, and it's a really good Pokemon, to be completely honest with you. Looking at its stats up there, it has a lower speed tier, but it has a really good HP at stat with 100 base HP. It has decent special attack with 85. It's hitting decently hard with its Ghost and Water typing. It does have Water Absorb, so it's another Pokemon that pairs really well with Lando because I can come in on the Ice type moves, or I can come in on the Water type moves. And that's all I can hit. That's all I can hit Landorus. So this is just a really good mon. I've actually seen Miticus use it pretty decently back before we even started in leagues, just like on Battle Spot and stuff. He used to run an Acid Armor set, an Acid Armor weakness policy set that just really put some work in against teams, to be completely honest with you. And this guy was there, so was like Blastoise and Tentacruel and stuff like that. So I could have gotten a spinner, but I really wanted Jellicent, also because it was a Ghost type, and it gives me a fighting immunity. Even though my team is definitely not fighting weak, it's just another mon. It's just another mon that I can support my Mega Lucario with. So, as I said a few minutes earlier in the video, Mega Lucario is weak to ground, fighting, and fire, and I've covered every single one of those weaknesses. So, I'm really excited to see what we can do with Mega Luke here this season. So, next. So, we've spent a lot of our points at this point. So, we've actually already have our last 6 picks planned out. So, I wanted to go ahead and dive down into the deeper tiers and go ahead and pick up some of the better Pokemon that I wanted. So, as you can see, my round 6 Pokemon may be a little bit of a head scratcher here, but I do have a reasoning behind it, and that is the trash man himself, Garbodor. So Garbodor's going to be taking out the garbage this season. He's going to be taking it out all season long. But I wanted something that could set up spikes and toxic spikes. This is from the recommendation of Hugo right here, so hopefully Hugo didn't screw me over. But wanted to set up spikes and toxic spikes because that's just going to make Lucario even harder to switch into, if I'm able to get the T-spikes or the spikes set up, I can just wear down walls, and then nothing's really going to switch into the close combat. So Garbodor's kind of a straightforward Pokemon. It is solid poison typing, so it's a fairy check. But as you can see, it's got average stats across the board. It doesn't have great abilities, but like I said, it was a very cheap Pokemon. I think it was 4 points or something like that, and it gave me different types of entry hazards. So I was excited to pick it up. So next in the draft is another cheap Pokemon. It's another Pokemon that I really wanted to give a try to. It's another Pokemon that can pivot. It's a Pokemon that can help me break through bulky grass types. Bulky steel types, help me break them down as well. It's a Pokemon that you can't burn. It's a Pokemon that is new this generation, so I don't have a great sprite for. So it is Incineroar. So we've got our boy Ric Flair Blitz coming in right here. As you can see, he's ready to wreak some havoc. He's sitting there with his hands just flopping them all about. Base 115 attack, base 80 special attack. Does also get access to Swords Dance and Nasty Plot. Pretty decent HP stat with 95. Good defenses, 90-90. Defense and SPDF. Pretty poor speed, though, with the base 60. But it could be a pretty decent Choice Scarf user. Use this in my Sun and Moon playthrough. Do wish this guy was faster. I wish they gave this thing like 105 speed or something like that, and this thing would be an absolute monster. But with its dual stab here, it's going to be a really cool Pokemon to use. Like I said, again, it can go special, it can go physical. It can also pivot because it does get access to U-turn, which is really cool just in itself. So I was excited to pick up Incineroar for a cheap 7 points. There are some better fire types still left on the board. There's Talonflame out there actually, but I wanted to try out Incineroar. I wanted to give it a try. It's the only new Gen 7 Pokemon on my roster, so wanted to give it a crack. And yeah, this is what we ended up with here is Incineroar. So we're still trying to fill all of our typings out here. We do have our steel type, we do have our fairy type. We're missing our dragon type. We have our water type, we have our fire type, and we're missing our grass type. So I do wish we could have picked up the grass dragon itself in Mega Sceptile, but we can't. So we're going to settle on regular Sceptile. So regular Sceptile was pretty cheap. It was 7 points. And it's a Pokemon that I've seen used with some mixed results in Draft League formats. So it does get a pretty neat ability in Unburden. It's got blazing 120 speed, so it immediately gives me the fastest Pokemon on my team. It's definitely not a defensive Pokemon, as you can see with the 65 base defense and 70 base HP. So we have to definitely keep that in mind. But it can function as just a wall breaker with Leaf Storm. Or with an SD Leaf Blade set like Life Orb or something like that. So should be pretty fun to use Sceptile this season. Again, whole 6 points. I'm not out a lot if it doesn't end up working out. I'm not really looking for a ground resist at this point with Zapdos or with the my Landorus. I'm not really looking for a water resist with my water immunity in Jellicent and my SPDF wall in Sylveon. So just wanted to try something fun, and it's actually looking pretty good. Just been looking at some of my matchups, because it outspeeds a whole lot of Pokemon, and it really is deceptively powerful. Like I said, it does get access to Swords Dance. So, like I said, I'm really excited to use Sceptile because it does get some pretty cool coverage moves. So, watch out because you never know when the Sceptile may strike. So, for our next Pokemon, again, we're still dipping into the low tiers here. We don't have a whole lot of points left. We have like 20 points or something here at this stage. But I wanted to pick up a bulky Psychic type that I have always wanted to try out. So, I had the opportunity to pick up Beheem. And who knows if I'm pronouncing that right. But Beheem is, I feel like, a cool Pokemon. Sure, its speed is absolutely awful, but it's got decent enough bulk to where it could potentially be pretty difficult to switch into. So I feel like maybe this could be like cheap Reuniclus 2.0 right here. Potentially. Obviously, it doesn't have anywhere near as good of abilities. But switching into to a choice specs analytic base 125 special attack move is going to be pretty tough. So, this Pokemon may be terrible. It really may be. But I'm going to try it out and see what I can do with it. Hopefully it does some damage this season. So for our last two picks, there wasn't a whole lot left that I needed. I knew one Pokemon in particular that I absolutely needed and I absolutely wanted, but nobody else had enough points to draft it, so I knew I could wait to the last round. But I wanted to pick up another good pivoting Pokemon, another good Ice Resist, because I don't really switch well into Ice types. But the monster that I pick up next is a previous MVP. It is a cheap pick, and it is something that can just take hits for days with its huge HP set. So we picked up Lantern next. So we do have the Lantern here. Was a previous Tier 5 MVP for Carson in the Arizona Diamond Storm. Two great abilities in Volt Absorb and Water Absorb. This is a Pokemon that is absolutely one of the top lower tier mons, in Draft League format. Like I said, two great abilities again, so it gives me a good electric immunity. I don't have to risk my Landorus every time that I want to switch into a powerful electric type Pokemon. Base 125 HP is just really, really good. Its stats everywhere else is pretty mediocre, but this gives my team support again. I can run Heal Bell on it, I can run Toxic on it, and this thing's bulky enough just to eat hits. But really its abilities are the main draw point. But I can bring this in on an Ice type, firing off Ice Beams, eat that Ice Beam up, and just Volt Switch out into my Lucario to put some pressure on, like a slow Volt Switch out into my Lucario just to click close combat with. So again, this team again is just really supporting my Lucario and really packing a punch. So if you're looking at my team right now, you're like, man, Panther, that's an awesome team, but you're missing one thing. You only have one Stealth Rock setter. And I realize this, but I did have a plan. So I'm missing a Dragon and I'm missing my Stealth Rock setter. So you're thinking, who's the best Dragon Stealth Rock setter you know? Druddigon, right? But I didn't want Druddigon. I wanted something a little bit more offensive, something that I could set up. So we picked up Tyrantrum. We have the nasty Rock Dragon itself. I don't think I've seen this thing drafted in the APA since Season 5. And it ended up being on Christo's team. And we all know how that ended up with Christo. Just completely falling off the map. So we've got another Pokemon here that can, sure, I'm weak to Ice, and I knew I was going to pick up this Mon, so which is why I kind of picked up Lantern. But we've got another Pokemon that can set up Stealth Rocks. We've got another Pokemon that can set up. This guy's going to be one of my Z-move users, because if I get a Dragon Dance up, it's going to be really hard to switch into, because this thing actually gets some really good coverage moves. It gets the Elemental Fangs, it gets Superpower, it gets Stone Edge, it gets its obvious Dragon Stab. It gets a lot of cool things. It gets Earthquake, so I can break past the potential check that you bring in to stop this guy. I can just power right on through it. I can bring a Choice Scarf, Rockhead, Head Smash set and really just deal some damage. I could bring a Choice Band Rockhead, Head Smash set and really just deal some damage as long as it hits. So, really excited about the potential that Tyrantrum brings to the table. So, let us know what you think about our draft in the comments section down below. I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty excited to use this team. I'm really excited to finally have some fun this season. At the back half of last season, I had, and I really don't want to sound like I'm trying to be cocky or brag or anything like that, but I had a perfect record at the end of last season. So I was really kind of feeling the pressure because everybody was just waiting for me to lose. I really did feel the pressure because I could choke at any moment. I could have made playoffs round 1, choked it away, and I almost did round 1, to be completely honest. So I'm really, really grateful not to have that on me anymore, because I've been known as a choker in the playoffs in the past. I made semis season 3, lost. Made finals season 4, lost. Made semis season 5, lost. So I didn't want that choker reputation to follow me anymore. But I've won the season 6 championship now. So no matter how the season turns out, it's whatever. I get to have some fun this season, and I really do think I do have a good team in front of me that can be really competitive, but that I can also really have some fun with and add to the Carolina Clefables trophy case. It is pretty cool to say that we did have the season 1 MVP, We had the season 4 MVP in Mega Salamence. We had the season 6 MVP in Weevil. So we've only actually had 5 complete seasons of the APA. Season 2 ended up dying, but we've had 3 out of the 5 all-time MVPs here. And I'm really hoping that remains true for this season, potentially for Lucario or for Landorus. But who knows? One of these other guys could surprise me. We could see Incineroar up there as MVP. Who knows? But really, really excited for this season, guys. So thank you for watching me ramble on for 25 minutes here. Hopefully you guys watched every minute and enjoyed. Be sure to let me know what you think of our draft down below. You can hear my son squealing in the background, so we're not going to make you listen to that anymore. But until next time, guys, we'll see you guys week 1. Thanks for watching.